Hey guys, Chickadee Maine, aka Deboo, with a YouTube video forecast update. This forecast update effective around 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, June 6, 2020, and starts you off with the latest out of the National Hurricane Center 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time update on Tropical Storm Cristobal. Please visit the National Hurricane Center at www.hurricanes.gov for all official watches and warnings. If watches and warnings are issued for your area, please heed the advice of your local, county, state emergency management officials. All right, guys, so tropical storm warnings are up. That's indicated in the blue line that you see here along the coast up in here from Louisiana over to the Florida Panhandle and all the goodies that go with it. So check your local forecast. There is the possibility for storm surge because this system is so large and has a large general circulation. It's pushing volumes of water, beginning to push volumes of water up into the Florida Panhandle and Big Bend region. There's a Yucatan gap swell that's developing now in real time. We'll show you that here in just a minute, or the idea of that. So switch you over to the satellite imagery, and you can see that dry air has been intruding into the system, but what we have now is we have convection that has developed over the Yucatan Channel in here. That's in between the northwest tip of Cuba and the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. And so we've got southerly flow coming out of here, and this convection is pushing up into the system, and it's now getting a chance to wrap in. You're also seeing convection starting to build around the core of rotation. So although it didn't look good this morning, you always got to wait for the heating of the day and always wait for the good visible satellite imagery. This system is well on its way. And although it may just be a wind and rain producer, there was some talk about possibly becoming a Category 1 hurricane. It may have a slight chance to do that, but it looks like it's just a big rain dumper at the moment. Now, going back to that Yucatan Channel gap swell that we talked about, for the last couple of days coming out of here, out of the Eastern Caribbean, we had east-southeast flow pushing up in here, and because of the landmass of Nicaragua and Honduras and the Gulf of Honduras, once that water starts to pile up, it has no place to go but to get forced out of that Yucatan gap. And so now that we've got southerly flow coming out of here hard through the channel itself, that's what's pushing this water up in here towards the Panhandle and up in here towards the Florida Big Bend, and that's why you're seeing the storm surge graphics that you're seeing. Now, this system is a large rotating system, so it's moving volumes of water. So big surf coming up for the Panhandle and the Big Bend region, but no telling what the local winds are going to do, whether or not it's going to create favorable surf. You should be starting to see front runners already showing. Front runners were showing over here in the West Florida early this morning, GulfStreamReport.com reporting in on that. As this system lifts towards the north, that'll get that westerly wrap swell going, and then that's when South Florida here in the next day or so should see some solid surf coming in. Switch you over to this afternoon's run of the Icon. I'm not a big Icon fan as far as intensity is concerned. My basic, just like I do with the CMC, I'm looking for location. I could care less about what the model shows me, what the system looks like, and whether or not it's heavy rain or not heavy rain. I'm looking for location when I look at the Icon and the CMC, but we'll advance the model for you, and you can see that the model lifts, just like the consensus is, lifts the system up towards the north. There is a couple of little wobbles in there. We talked about that in our previous video a couple of days ago. But look, take a look at this. Now, this is rule of thumb. Always watch tail ends of fronts along stalled or dying fronts for an area of low pressure to develop. Sometimes low pressure likes to attach itself to the tail. Okay, so here you have Cristobal at the tail end of this front. Now, what did I just say? Always watch tail ends of fronts along stalled or dying fronts for an area of low pressure to develop. Let me back this up because I want you to start watching here off the Outer Banks. You notice this green patch that's right here just east of the Outer Banks? Well, this was off the northeast Florida, Georgia coast yesterday as a heavy band of convection, at least the vorticity spin was. And as we advance the model for you, again, don't look at Cristobal because this one's just about to be in the books, but we're just trying to show you the next possible system that can come up. Watch as that green shading starts to move east off the coast, and then high pressure, comes in behind, and then an area of low pressure is going to want to try to spin up out of that front. And that's why we always watch tail ends of fronts, long stalled or dying fronts, for an area of low pressure to develop. So here's an area of low pressure developing. Let me look at the timestamp here. This is within 72 hours. This is on Tuesday. So we get an area of low pressure that's developing on the backside of Bermuda, and this is going to give rise to the chance at 94 L invest, or possibly tropical storm, a small compact tropical storm Dolly. There's National Hurricane Center is currently at 20% chance of development next 5 days. All right, switch you over to 12Z GFS. 12Z GFS is just loading. This is going to be within the next 5 days. Same idea as what we just told you with the icon in reference to the storm lifting and how it does. But let me advance the model for you here. I'll back it up a couple times. Remember, look at the Outer Banks, or pay attention to the Outer Banks and what we just said. So Cristobal lifting off the Uke up into Louisiana. But on this one, although the icon showed a strong tendency to want to pin itself to the tail of that front, you can see that the GFS does not. And it goes way off to the left up there, and it's heading for the next front. And then over on your right there, we just talked about that in the icon. Look, area of low pressure to developing. 12Z GFS is a little weaker with the area of low pressure. Probably would not see a storm system out of that, but it still sets up the chance for possible surf alert for portions along the mid-Atlantic as easterly flow develops on top of it. Northeast flow, possible surf alert, fun surf alert for Florida and maybe Puerto Rico. It's still something that we're looking into, but I'm going to advance the model just that one more frame. This is just inside 5 days, but look down there towards the bottom. Look at all of that rain starting to return, and there is the possibility of setting up for a repetitive pattern coming up in the 10-day window. The models aren't showing anything, but they are starting to hint. At least we haven't seen 12Z GFS yet today, but the models are starting to hint that we may be looking for another system coming out of the Caribbean on that round the corner pattern that I've described to you guys. Okay, switch you up to the latest run of Wave Watch 3 for you non-surfers or mariners. This is the forecast model for the ocean. And we talked about that Yucatan Gap Channel swell. Now, this is going back. This image right here starts 72 hours ago. So I want you to pay attention to the Western Caribbean and the Gulf of Honduras and how we talked about how the winds start to pile up. That east-southeast wind flow starting to pile up in there into the Gulf of Honduras, and it pushes all that water, and it has no choice but to come out of that gap. Notice how it starts to increase in red. That sea's increasing, of course, with the intensity of Cristobal also increasing. But the point is that the swell coming out of that Yucatan Gap Channel, heading over for Texas, Louisiana, Florida Panhandle, Big Bend area at the moment. That's the arrows are giving you direction. So as the system lifts up into the central Gulf of Mexico, you can see southwest swell now aimed at southwest Florida, and then northerly swell aimed at the Florida Big Bend area. Again, that's that push that's going to create that storm surge. And then you've got the east-southeast heading over towards Texas. Now, as the system moves inland, okay, over Louisiana, you can see the wraparound west swell now starting to take shape for southwest Florida, and then boom, the system is done. Now, I'm going to advance this model for you a little bit more because look at the top right hand of your screen. That's that area that has a chance to become Dolly. And so right there, that's northeast swell developing. The yellow-orange indicates higher seas of about 10 to maybe 13 feet in northeast ground swell developing. Okay, northerly swell. Look, it's aimed at Puerto Rico. And then as we advance the model for you, that starts to broaden out now, and then the direction of the swell start to change. So stay tuned. I'll go ahead and advance this because right after that, it goes away. But that's a shot at some possible fun surf alert setting up for portions of the north-facing beaches of the East Caribbean, out towards Florida and the Mid-Atlantic. That's all I got for you for now. Stay tuned for the next update. Visit the National Hurricane Center for all official watches and warnings. Thanks for listening.